All right, man. Well, we are. Wait, is it happening? Is it happening? Is it happening? Just make sure we're good here. We'll make sure we're good here. Uh,
All right. All right. All right. All right.
and we are live. Take it away, sir.
What's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Happy Mother's Day. Welcome back to the Guitar Builders Podcast. I'm Travis from the YouTube channel Woodstyle Shinobi, joined with me with my co-host, Mike from Element Zero Guitars. Check them out on YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for watching. We're going to be talking about stuff, things, whatnot, who's he, what's it, who's he, does it. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off with what we are working on this week as builders. Mike, you want to kick that off?
Oh yeah. So things are actually moving along now.
Okay.
They're moving along quite well. Quite well. Some would say too well.
With the Great Guitar Build Off 2021 kicking off,
Man.
it's slowly dwindling down on how much time we got left for all this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm scared as hell still. I'm at the point now where I'm about ready to start chopping things up. I've done some epoxy resin pour tests because I've decided that I am not going to do a funny paint job. I'm going to actually do a carve job and epoxy fill because you inspired me. You inspired me when you started busting out all that epoxy resin. So this is your fault, and I hold you responsible for it.
You know what? I'm the bane of the environment. Epoxy's not the best for the environment, but it does the job in a pinch. I mean, it's not like it's a one-time use item or nothing.
Oh, very true, very true. But after seeing what you've been doing, I've decided that I'm going to use this epoxy resin fill for my cow design. And
nice.
I am going to be busting out the hand Dremel tool for that.
Smart.
So, now that things are all in motion, I actually finished my my template, right? That was a big thing, was getting the template all finished. I got things glued up. I got things ready to go, right? I'm so excited. It's finally happening. After weeks and weeks of struggling and swearing and crying in my sleep, it's finally happening.
And crying in your wake, right?
So, how are you progressing?
I am doing fairly well. Did not get as much work done this weekend as I wanted to.
Yeah.
Namely, zero work done, actually. But I was able to get some during the week, just a small amount. And, I came to a stagnant point in, because I'm working on the neck this week, mainly. I got some resin down. Like I said, I was doing a fabric top fretboard.
Yeah.
I am very pleasantly surprised with how it's coming out. And I'm excited to see it when it's all done. But this is what we got so far on it.
Ooh.
See that gloss on that shit?
Ooh, so that's the micarta thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, basically what I did was I radiused the fretboard, and then I pretty much just put one layer of so I put an actual fretboard under it.
Yeah.
My brother's suggestion. And I radiused it, and then I put the fabric on top, and I did about 4 really light layers of resin on it, and to bring it to that point to where there wasn't any dry spots on the actual fretboard itself. From the transition from fabric to resin, and I'm actually really happy with how it's coming out. I see why these boys at Texas Toast be getting down with them fabric tops, because they're looking nice.
Yeah, that looked really, really, really shiny. I have to admit, like just seeing that even in like tiny mode there, like pull that thing up again, man. Like this is definitely like really, really like beautiful right here. Yeah, just look at that. I can't wait to see. So, how thick is the epoxy that you have on there?
It is not very thick. I'd say uh, it's 4 really thin layers, so it couldn't be more than a 16th. You
16th.
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
that's really groovy, man. I can't wait to see what that's going to look like with frets on it.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
that's probably going to be the next challenge is re-radiusing the top of that you after you
Hmm.
poured stuff on it, and then
Yeah,
polishing it
I
and
I was going for a 12. That's the radius block that I got.
yeah,
I checked it. It's not a 12 anymore, but I'm thinking it's probably in the range of like uh, a 9 or something.
yeah,
Yeah. So I don't know. I'll probably just keep it wherever it's at, and as long as it's fairly close to actually radius. It's not flat right now.
yeah,
That's for sure. I just checked it a little while ago, but I haven't checked on the actual radius of it yet.
yeah. Well,
But
I can't wait to see the video you're going to be producing for this too.
yeah, yeah, I'm working on it. That's going to be so my last video came out on Friday, and that went over me like shaping the body and stuff like that,
Yeah,
uh, getting started on the neck. And this next video is going to be mainly me working on the neck, and probably a little bit of sanding and all that stuff on the body. But yeah, that's going to be not this next Friday, but the Friday after that is where that one's going to premiere. That's why whoever listens backslash watches this podcast gets a about a 3 week buffer update for my personal updates for my channel and all that stuff. See what we're working on and all that stuff before the video actually goes up.
yeah. Whereas I work in secrecy and intrigue,
Yep.
except for harassing people on Instagram and Twitter all day. That's like one of my favorite little pastimes. You know, just go up on
Hey.
Twitter and be like, "Hey guys." But you know, it's funny. So I've actually had a couple of like influencers
Okay.
contact me and be like, "So can I have a sample guitar to review?" And I'm like, "What?" I mean, you know, it's like, "Hey, so here's the thing. Like, I can loan you a guitar to review, but I can't give it
Yeah.
to you." And they're like,
Yeah.
"Well, why
Yeah.
can't you give it to me?" And I'm like, "Well, because you know." Right now, I don't have anything that's just like extra stock. Like these are all instruments I'm playing right now, and I kind of like them, and some of them aren't quite up to snuff that I'd want them to be reviewed or anything. But it's like, so dude, you got like 50 followers. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's the fine dance with the whole thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's one thing if this is a person that has like 50,000 followers and they're like, hey, you know, can I send me one of your guitars and I'll review it on my channel and all that stuff. But the kicker is I get to keep the guitar afterwards. 50,000 subscribers, I'm like, I could justify that if that doesn't have like Fishman pickups in it or something. Just throw some cheap junk in there and call it a day because at the end of the day, this is what I like doing anyways, and it's not like it's currently a business for me. So I could justify somebody with like 50,000 subscribers, hit us up
yeah.
uh, to like, make them a guitar or something.
You
But
know, and that's
at
the
the
thing.
same
I would,
time, I'm like, well, I don't feel my guitars are up to snuff
yeah,
at this point in my life. Like they're fine for me, but I'm not like a everyday guitar player.
yeah,
I'm not a fucking I'm going to this show every Saturday and Sunday and all this stuff,
yeah,
to shred people's faces off. I'm just some guy that, used to play guitar pretty good, not even that good. But but yeah, that's besides the point. It also like I'm getting to, it's a fine line
yeah,
between, well, not even, it's a thick, bold motherfucking line between 50,000 subscribers and some guy with like 123 subscribers,
yeah.
that wants the same deal. I'm like, I want to support the smaller channels like that because I'm a smaller
Oh
channel. So
yeah,
are you, but at the same time, I can't justify, giving away hundreds of dollars of material and time to
yeah.
somebody.
I mean,
You
and the
know?
thing that nobody really thinks about too is like the base cost for like an
Yeah,
instrument for us without
yeah,
wood
exactly.
is about $200, and that's like truss rod, nut, fret wire, electronics. Like that's bridge,
Yeah,
tuning machines. Yeah, and
if you're
that's all cheap
talking mid,
stuff too. Like
yeah,
not
yeah,
not
mid
like hip
grade
shot.
to cheap, yeah, mid grade to cheap hardware and you know pickups and all that stuff, just for materials alone, including wood, you're talking at least like 150 to $200,
Yeah,
and that's like with like way baseline stuff.
yeah,
When you get into the more expensive stuff, like pair of Fishman pickups or Seymour Duncans or something, those are 200 $250 for just a pair of pickups, and then another around 50 to $100 for a pair of good tuning machines, another $100 for a good high quality bridge. You know, good pots are like $10 each. You know,
yeah, yeah.
the the wood.
I mean, yeah. There's definitely like a hard cost into all that too, and I mean, and then you actually think about the labor portion of it, right?
Yeah,
Because sometimes it can take some of us dudes over 100 hours to build a single instrument, depending on what we're doing, and
yeah,
it's
you
really
got
easy to sink that kind of time into these types of things, you know.
exactly. You always got to look into what is my time worth.
Yeah,
Uh, my time to me, it's worth a lot of money because I I work all the time, and the little amount of time I do have, I do enjoy building guitars and general working and stuff. But I also have a family I need to hang out with and all that stuff. So find balance,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I
So
mean,
so that
that's
drives
very
the price
important.
up. Drives the price up a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and I mean, I think that could also be like the argument for like why like American made guitars are really expensive is because they're regular dudes like you and I, making these things. And I mean, yeah, they work at, a guitar building factory almost, like the Fender custom shop. I would, it's definitely not a factory in like the Ford Motor sense, but I mean, these guys crank out instruments left and right, you know?
But yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there's definitely a hard cost of like our time investment that's put into it, the material investment, and I mean, I've always been uh, eager to just make instruments for people because it's fun and I really enjoy doing it. So
Yeah.
I've definitely felt the want and need to do it even for some of the people that are local to me too. Especially this one guy, Johnny Wanzer, who he's been lighting up all these local landlords for being like complete scumbags and stuff. And yeah, he's a really cool dude. He's made a lot of really funny videos. And I told the guy offhand on Twitter once. I was like, dude, you know, if you ever want a guitar, let me know. I'll build you one. I'll just give it to you because that's
That's tight.
and I'd probably for like friends and family, I don't mind taking like the cheap route out and buying like you know, uh, like a kit guitar and just customizing the piss out of it for them. Because those are such easy, like almost weekend projects. A lot
But
of
yeah.
times, you don't have to do too much work to get the finish that you want on it. Because you'll usually be doing some type of paint thing or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, this kit costs $100, and I'll go throw $100 of my own money into it for upgraded electronics and hardware, and it'll
Hmm.
play as good as anything else. But
Yeah.
it's a nice gift from me to them. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at that.
Yeah. I mean, and even if it's not like a gift to somebody, if it's for like a friend or family or something like that, I'm all for like, all right, you buy the parts and I'll take care of it. It'll get done when it gets done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's gonna take a little bit because I got other things going on. But if you buy all the guts and the wood and all that stuff, you know, maybe even throwing in a little extra so I could buy a little tiny extra bit of wood.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, well, it's
uh,
always the little extra things that are always like the funnest.
yeah.
Like sometimes I go to my lumber store here locally, Treehouse Hardwood. Shout out to those
Mm,
guys. They're all saints. They sell really nice domestic and otherwise what we'd consider foreign or flatlander wood. Um, great people, and that's where I shop all the time. But I'll buy little pieces of wood, right? Like nothing
Yeah.
like that I could build a body out of, and just save that stuff because it can always turn into something I can use later. Like if I want to put a Purple Heart stripe down a neck, I have a whole bunch of
Yep.
Purple Heart I bought real cheap over there, and
Oh
it
yeah.
would I got enough board footage where I can just sit there and do like a a half inch spine of Purple Heart down the neck, no problem. So those little things are always fun, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like uh, last time I went to Woodcraft, you know, they got super overpriced stuff, but that's what you get when you go to a big name retailer.
Hmm.
You're gonna pay high end stuff. I I got a ebony fretboard, pure black, you know, ready to go and all that stuff, and I haven't even used it for a fretboard. I've just been cutting chunks off and using it for nuts on my guitar because I really like how the black nuts look.
Oh, really?
You know, yeah, and ebony is super hard, so you know, no worries on the nut wearing down too fast or anything. So, stuff like that.
You know,
It doesn't.
so I actually one little fun thing that I did with some scrap wood that I got at the treehouse is I started
Mm,
making cavity covers and like like that kind of like little like trim pieces for my guitars, and even I made a pick guard out of some cherry wood that I had for my Swamp Thing guitar that I absolutely adore. I think it looks great. But I've done these cavity covers up with some Zircoti, where it was on sale because it wasn't anything that was thick enough for like a traditional woodworker to do anything with, but it had enough, inchage to it, or inchage, to turn it into a cavity cover, no problem. And
yeah.
so, I got the whole thing. I think it was like for like $4 or $5, and I've done
Mm,
like a whole bunch of cavity covers with it. And I highly recommend that if any of our listeners or viewers out there get bored and they're looking for like little intro things to do to get into guitar building, maybe building your own cavity covers is a pretty good way to start out, because
yeah.
that was one of my first favorite things that I did, man, and that was God, I'd love to do
Yeah.
some more of that. I'm gonna definitely do that with this build. Um,
Oh yeah. I mean, we do all of our own cavity covers and all that stuff. You know, every once in a while we just get an old scrap piece of mahogany off of a body and stuff, and just we work with about 1.75 inches, inch and a half, wood for the bodies. So
mm-hmm.
just cut like five you know back blanks out of it. You
Yep.
know, use those for cavity coverage. Just got them on the workbench when we're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, offcuts are
Line
awesome
the.
things.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a fool's game if you throw away offcuts. I mean, what are you doing with your life, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that's really the big thing is your offcuts can open up many doorways to abilities that some would consider to be very evil, but also
Oh
very
yeah,
cool.
very cool.
Get all I'm Palpatine on this shit. Um, and how's your brother making out with his project?
His is coming along pretty good. He actually just shaped the neck this weekend,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's gonna be gnarly. He shaped the neck. He cut out the frets. Yeah, cut out the fret slots and put the frets in, and then glued in the fretless section of it. So
Ooh.
yeah, he's moving along just like everybody else. I mean, slow and steady. It doesn't help that we have this much time to work on it. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of that's kind of what's making me procrastinate a little bit on it because I'm like, eh. I mean, even right now, I'm like, I still got like a month and a half before I even have to be done.
Yeah.
Something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and with the crunch that's been happening with the time, I feel terrible that I haven't been able to put in as much time behind like video editing or even getting enough like woodworking in. Um,
Yeah.
because I feel that I kind of owe it to not only myself but everybody that actually watches any of my videos. Um,
Yep. This guy right here. I'm
yeah.
waiting.
Yeah, our podcast, is contingent on the fact that we're making videos, but I I feel like sometimes that I'm having a hard time of balancing my regular job, which is, it has moments where it's like absolute feast or famine,
Oh
where,
yeah.
things get really crazy. Clients have computers that are going down, or all of a sudden we book two big projects in 1 week, and it's like,
Yep.
so
Oopsie.
yeah. So the whole
Yeah.
time commitment thing, man, has been a real killer, and
Oh yeah.
I feel like it's unfair
No,
sometimes.
no, I feel it, man. I'm for real average. On average, I'm working 55, 60 hours a week right now.
Yeah.
And we're not even in the busy season yet. So buckle up, baby. you know.
Buckle up and pucker up. That's what they say.
uh, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But get paid by the hour, so I can't complain too much, and pays the bills.
Yep. Well, I like my
Yep.
job, man. It really pays the bills. I work for a good guy. And just a moment to recognize one of our sponsors. Thank you to Superior Communications for superiorly communicating this podcast technology with technological solutions made in a basement clandestine lab that produces high quality IT technologies. Thank you. SuperiorCommunicationsVT.com.
Yep.
I wonder how my boss is going to like that. Saying he's got some clandestine lab that's making IT solutions.
Yeah. I actually got a sponsor this week also.
Oh, wow.
A blue cup. Not a
Dude,
sponsor, accepting sponsorships.
wait a minute. Did you get that from Walmart?
I did, man. Shit.
So I got the same cups. So even here on the East Coast, man, we're like we're like cup cousins or something. You
Yeah,
know?
dude, cup cousins.
Yeah, cup cousins.
I ain't, dude. I'm too white trash to be drinking out of glass. I only drink out of plastic.
Actually, which reminds me, I think that should be the episode name right there. I think we just found it. It's going to be Cup
Oh
Cousins.
yeah, cup cousins.
Hold on, I'm
Oh
updating that right now.
man. Perfect. God damn.
Cup Cousins. I wonder if they're kissing cousins. You know?
I hope so, dude. I hope so.
Hey, man, there's a lot of good trashy romance novels out there that are just like that. You got to be on your feet for that. You got to be looking for it. It's good stuff. It's very trashy, very emotional. Some would say too deep.
Too deep.
Or Daddy Don't Touch Me There. That's always a good one.
Yep. God damn.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what happens.
So you pick up any new tools recently or what?
So no new tools. But I've also been doing a little bit of meth lab engineering over here. So here's some of the miscellaneous projects that have been happening. So the Weapon of Love guitar. My roommate gave me his Jimi Hendrix single coil pickups he got with his Jimi Hendrix Stratocaster that he bought.
Nice.
Because yeah, he swapped them out for the Seymour Duncan Jimi Hendrix single coil pickups. Sounds like, all right, man, I'll take them. I was really underwhelmed with the Fender noiseless pickups, so this was definitely an upgrade. However, this would be an upgrade if the fellow that helped me wire up the guitar, because I was scared of it when I first built this thing, if he actually did a good job wiring this fucking thing up. Pardon my French, and I wish that I had like a little censoring button, but this fucking guy, and he shall remain nameless because I respect him, and he's done a lot of really good work for me over the years, right?
Yep.
But here's how I'm going to frame this first. Cold solder joints are a bad thing. Yes or no? True or false?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we're halfway there, right? And those cheap little brown capacitors, right? The ones that we usually see on like IC boards and like electronics.
Mine are green, but yes, I understand.
Terrible, right?
Yeah.
True or false?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And
if you have knowledge on capacitors and all that stuff, I would like to go into that after this.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go ahead.
So then, not using the customer supplied electronics that were given to you, the guitar technician, that's a sin against humanity, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, if somebody asks you to use these particular parts, even if they're not going to be the greatest,
Yeah.
you tell them, these are gonna suck ass.
Yep. So
Use them anyways. They're what's provided.
so so these are some of the things that I found when I opened this pick guard up, right, and started trying to rewire the thing. And also I fucked up the wiring. So
Classic.
well, it was just a little confusing because the Fender noiseless pickups have 3 wires, right? And the pickups I'm putting in there are real single coils. None of that fucking dummy like coil like crap going on there, right? Like this is a real single coil. And
Gotcha.
so when I tried to wire it up, I noticed that all my pickups are active no matter which position the switch is in.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, that's no good.
yeah, so I got a lot of R&D to do, but yeah, so not using the stuff that I gave him. He used the actual wire that I gave him, which was like this cloth wrapped like whatever that came
Yeah.
with these 3 pots and an orange drop, a resistor also for treble bleed. Didn't use any of that. All right, so I got this cheap
Gotcha.
little brown capacitor and cold solder joints all over the fucking thing. Right?
Awesome.
Yeah, dude, it looked like a fucking porcupine on some of the shit. Like it was just like, you gotta be shitting me. Like I paid
Yep.
you good money to do this, man. Like I wouldn't even do that. Like I've done
Yeah.
some pretty outrageous soldering and some very questionable practices with some of my electronics wiring. Apparently, people freak out when you use Category 6 or Category 5 cable for your guitar wiring. Uh,
Hmm.
I mean, even though it's really good wire, like it's 24 gauge, copper core, like not stranded cable, right? And
Yeah.
it's electrically shielded and everything else, and it's like it's like whatever, guys, go fuck yourself.
So it's the good shit.
Yeah, well, it's good for communications devices, and I can't think
Gotcha.
of any greater communicator than a guitar.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So you had some questions about capacitors.
Yes, I do. I don't understand them. I don't know what the purpose of capacitors are. I suck at soldering. That's one thing. When before I solder up this great guitar build off one, I'm gonna sit down with some old pots, a bunch of wire and stuff, and just sit there for a couple hours, like teaching myself how to solder a little better. Before I solder this one up, because I do got expensive parts in it. I don't want to fuck anything up. I don't want no cold joints or anything. But anyways, the question is capacitors.
Yeah.
Uh, what do they do? Why do I need them?
Okay. So I can't give you definitive reasons for what they or how they do it, but I do understand that capacitors change the load that is put on the pot, right?
Okay.
So whatever happens with the electrical signaling, it changes the load on the pot so that instead of changing the volume, it actually changes its frequency response. That's the best I can tell you.
So
Now,
it's kind of a conversion unit, basically.
I guess. I, you know, I, the thing is like even though I'm an IT guy, I'm an idiot when it comes to electronics. But I can tell you, I do know a few things about guitar capacitors.
Okay.
So in your standard guitar, you're gonna usually have the choice of 2 different values for your capacitor. It's like 0.022 or 0.22 or 0.047 or 0.47. I forget what the numbers are exactly, but I know 22 and 47. And those come to a matter of personal preference. From what I understand, a lot of people like the 22s for single coils, and some people think 47s are better for humbuckers. Honestly, there's enough tone demos out there so you can listen to one of these things and kind of get an idea of what kind of sound you're going to be cultivating. And I think that that's probably better than listening to a fat man wear a tie and glasses on a YouTube podcast, because self-discovery is always the best option. But what I will
Yeah.
tell you is that orange drop capacitors are really nice. People swear by them, especially when you get into some of the more vintage gearheads. So
Okay.
I kind of rely on the fact that people find these very desirable, and the fact that you can get these orange drop capacitors. And actually, let me just see if I can pull up on YouTube or not YouTube, because we are already on YouTube, right? But what I'm going to
Yep.
do is I'm going
Yep.
to go on Amazon real quick, and I'm just
Yes.
going to pull
Yes.
up some orange drop. Orange drop. So let me switch our scene here, right? Now, these things are never going to be like the original vintage ones, right? Like that came out 100 years ago that like all the old people are clamoring about, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
you're never going to get to that quality. And apparently these are 1337 lead. So these are probably the best capacitors you can buy. But the price of $6.19 for a pair of these capacitors, I think is pretty decent, right?
Okay.
But you will also find that there's these axial film ones that a lot of vintage gearheads get all like horny about too. So it's like axial film guitar capacitor. Yeah, I spelt it wrong, didn't I? Yeah, so these guys right here. And what
Okay.
I found out is you can actually get a whole fuck ton of these really cheap. These are not the right value, right? Like it's supposed to be 2.2 or 4.7. But you can get these axial film ones a lot cheaper. And yeah, so like yeah, these
Gotcha.
ones right here. So I can get a 5 pack
Gotcha.
for
Oh,
$8.
two
These
two.
are
Okay.
yeah, these are allegedly good. So
Hmm.
I would say that once you start going through and figuring out what the sound you're trying to cultivate out of the instrument, right? Like who is the musician for this? Are they a metalhead? Are they a jazz head, a rock head, or whatever? What kind of pickups am I using? That dictates what capacitor you use. But I think
Gotcha.
that
Yeah.
you can't go wrong with an orange drop because they're highly sought out, and as you can see, they're kind of expensive compared to what you can find for other capacitors. So
Yeah.
it's all a matter of personal preference. Listen to some things, and draw a
Gotcha.
couple of your own conclusions. Because don't ever trust anything the internet ever tells you, because that's
You know
dangerous.
what? I trust everything on this podcast. You guys should listen to everything we say. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna go ahead and buy some of those.
yeah. But as for like doing up like your first real like wiring kind of like craziness, right?
Yeah.
Take your
Yeah.
time with all of it and make sure to pre-tin all your leads. Like
Oh
that's
yeah. I mean, I've done maybe three or four, probably like four guitars soldered up and all that stuff. And sometimes I have more trouble than others. Some come up come out better. I just need that's something I really need to practice. I think I need to get a better soldering unit for one. Because I got like a $15 one off of Amazon or something. Uh, but you know,
yeah. Well, I think that if you get yourself a variable like heat like soldering iron where you have like the dials to
mhm.
control how much heat you're actually putting out of the thing,
Uh-huh.
that's a good starting point. And also learning
Okay.
how to take care of your iron because your iron's a tool just like anything else that you have. You have to sometimes hone it. You got to clean it. You got to take care of it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people don't do this thing where they actually screw down the screw that actually holds the element in that you're using to heat. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that little thing, if it's not screwed in properly, it's going to fall out, or worse, it's not even going to be able to conduct heat with your heating element that's inside the iron. So
Gotcha.
it's important to set that up so that you're not wasting a bunch of time like looking at it like why the fuck is this not working? Why is it being a pain in the ass? Like that's where you start, and then you go from there. Um, and also a tip for newbies out there: whenever you're doing stuff on the back of your pots, hit it with a little bit of 150 grit first or 120, whatever you got. Just give it a little scuff so your shit will stick to it. Trust
Yep.
me.
Yep. That is
Trust me.
100% true. The first time I soldered a guitar up, I didn't do that, and it was like beating up and give me cold joints and all that stuff, and it's like, why is this not working? And then I figured out I needed something for it to stick to. It was too. but
Yeah. Oh, and I mean the other
yeah,
thing is too is flux core solder is such an
yeah,
important thing that newbies. I wish that more newbies knew about because a lot of times they'll think that their iron's broken or they just really suck at soldering and they have no business doing it. And it just comes
yep,
down to the fact that like, hey guys, you gotta get the flux core stuff. And if you don't get the flux core, make sure you buy flux. And also another pro tip out there for the newbies: you can actually roast your pots if you put too much heat on
Yes, you
them.
can. You can
Be
roast your
careful.
pots. You could roast your wires also.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, you do got to be careful with that. Yeah, that's that is this one of the scariest parts of building a guitar for me. Soldering it up and then testing it out, and then something doesn't work. I'm like, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
How am I gonna get out of this hobo pickle? By the
Yeah.
way, if you need context on what a hobo pickle is, it's when a hobo gets a jar and they pee in it and then poop in it. So hobo pickle.
Ew. Ew. That's terrible, man. But that's why people watch this podcast, is because they need to learn things that are outside of the realm of guitar building, and also,
Insight. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and also know what
You know,
a hobo pickle is.
we have general knowledge of the world.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, we're very well lived and well traveled individuals. We
Yep.
have different backgrounds and different things, and that is what makes us special.
Yes.
But
Yes.
oh my god, man, that wiring that I'm dealing with on my Strat is really upsetting me though. Because in a lot of ways I feel like the guy, like, if he had any confidence issues with his wiring, he probably should have said something, because then I would have tried to do it. Reluctantly, I would have done it. But
Is he like a local builder or something
so he's
to
like
you, or is it just?
he's a local guitar repair tech, and I mean, like I said, I have mad respect for this guy. He took an Epiphone that I had that my uncle Randy gave me, and this thing was beat to fuck. It had a Wilkinson like tremolo bridge that was eating the body, right, and it just all sorts of issues with it. He fixed it, right, and I mean, like, not just fixed it, like he went and put a bone nut on it. He replaced the bridge that was eating the body alive. He put a block of wood in it that fit perfectly in the cavity. Like, this guy really did quality work. And
Yeah.
I really, really like the guy. I really do. And I've sent him stuff where I've gotten like confused and be like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with my setup. Like, what's going on here? And he usually asks a pretty high price because he's busy. Right. And I get that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I live in a type of means and lifestyle where, sometimes I can, sometimes afford these types of things. But it also hurts. So it's like, yeah, I can afford it, but I don't want to afford it.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I've never brought a guitar to a luthier.
Mm-hmm.
What are some price points on that? Some of the stuff that you gotten repaired.
So here's
Yeah.
so here's how I think about a lot of this kind of stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
Ask first what their shop labor rate is.
Gotcha.
That is always a good determining factor of, if you're going to be able to afford their services, because that's one thing that I always worry about working in the service industry myself. As an IT guy, is sometimes we come across things that we have to repair that are not economically viable to repair. So ask first what the hourly rate is, and don't try to like get a price check right off the bat with the guy. Like, find out if there's a bench fee, right? And if the guy has a bench fee, he's probably pretty legit, because nobody's gonna charge you a bench fee and not look at your guitar, or turn away business, right? When someone actually charges a bench fee, it's because they're busy and they're respectable enough where it's like, hey, if you want me to look at this, I'm not going to look at this for free. You're going to pay me to look at this, and I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it, and I'm going to get you an estimate for the repair, right? And a lot of times,
No, that's fair.
a lot of times too, that bench fee will actually get applied towards the repair. That's another important thing to find out too. But just a couple of price metrics to go off of. A setup of an instrument where the technician is not replacing anything or adding anything to your guitar, right? If it's a simple setup where they don't have to fuck with your frets and they're just screwing around with your saddles, I would say $50 is a good fee, right? Like, you pay $50 for somebody to set up your guitar, that's fine, right? Wiring. If it's a simple wiring job that takes like an hour to 2 hours, from, I would say, 75 to 100 is fair, right? Like, anything above that, it's a little wishy-washy. But if you're having this poor bastard wire up like push pull pots and rerouting pickup cavities, and he's charging you more. Understandable, right? Like there's a certain level where the amount of effort has to commiserate with what the repair price is.
Of
But
course.
generally, I would say you should always be wary if you come in with a really simple problem, like, hey, my guitar makes a lot of noise, right? And if you say that your guitar makes a lot of noise and they come at you with a $300 repair estimate, that seems a little fishy. That
Yeah.
ask what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Because that could be as simple as, putting some conductive paint on the inside of you know, the cavities for the, pots and all that stuff,
Or fixing a simple ground.
fixing a simple ground, maybe pull up the bridge and solder the ground onto the bridge or something, lay it back on there. Fucking 5-minute fix,
Yeah, yeah.
But
But I will say, you should always avoid big corporate shops when it comes to getting your instrument fixed.
oh yeah. I mean, personally, I don't bring my guitars into people.
Yeah.
That's why we build and all that stuff, because we want to learn and do that stuff ourselves. But I'm curious, generally curious. Never talked to anybody who's actually brought. No, that's not true. I've talked to a couple people. I just haven't asked them what they paid for it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And I mean, there's so many, and because this industry, like break, fix, and modify and upgrade, like that's a really, it's hard to pin down the price of anything. And
oh
I'm always weary of people saying, well, it's going to cost this to do this right off the bat, right? Like if they've never seen the instrument, you're like, yeah, it's making a weird buzzing noise. Yeah, $20, we'll bring it in, we'll fix it, right? Like you should be like,
yeah,
wait a minute, that seems a little like jumping the gun a little bit, right?
yep,
But I mean, like big jobs, like complete neck resets where they have to steam the fucking thing,
oh
and
yeah,
like stuff like that. Like, yeah, if you're gonna get a $300 bill, it's gonna be something like that, or like a refret.
yeah.
You
A
know,
refret, the complete refret, like that's hours and hours.
yeah. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for the guy I do work with. But when I had him look at the electronics on the purple guitar,
Yep.
he did a really. I always take out the electronics from the guitar and cover the guitar with stuff while I'm working on the electronics when I'm soldering, right? And it's usually just blue shop towels because it gives me a good buffer that if I start smelling something like a shop towel burning, I can usually save my guitar from burning.
Oh yeah.
This guy burned a hole in the guitar finish on the front of the face of the instrument, and
Wow.
he also chipped the headstock. And he tried to cover
Man.
it up with some purple lacquer that he had, and it wasn't a really good match. I wish that he would have
Yep.
called me and told me these things had happened before I picked it up. Not, oh, you want me to give you, 200 something dollars for all the work that you did, despite the fact that you did all this shit to the guitar, too.
Yeah, I mean, something like that. He should have called and told you, like, hey, this is what happened. Uh,
Yeah,
I
and
could either fix this for free and make it look perfect because I fucked up,
yeah,
or you could take your stuff back after I do your wiring and we could just square it up.
yeah, and I mean, if he would have been offering a little bit of a discount for the things that he did, but like the receipt didn't have any deductions on it. And I'm not
Yeah.
one to just go and argue with people about stuff because that's the same industry I work in. And it's just, the thing is I believe that people, they charge what they charge because that's what they charge, right? And
Oh
that,
yeah.
whatever. I'll square up with them and be done with it, right? But Phil
Yep.
McKnight, I think said it best on his, because he did a podcast too, kind of like how we do, but he's like Guitar Tech podcast. He's like, "Hello
Yeah.
everybody," like,
Yep.
but he said it right that when you bring your guitar into a place for it to get repairs or modifications done, it should leave that shop in the same condition or better condition
Yeah.
than when it went there. Now, granted, there
Of
are
course.
definitely things that sometimes may have unintended consequences, like net resets or refretting, where you're going to have tear out and stuff. But general rule of thumb is that whenever you bring something to somewhere, whether it be a computer or a guitar, it should leave in the same condition that you brought it there in or better, right? And I clean
Yep.
people's computers, like actually clean
Yep.
them. Go through and take all the gum and fucking Pornhub like residue off their computer, and when I give it back to them, the damn thing is shiny, you know.
Yep.
So that's, you know, and for all you budding guitar repair guys out there, you know, keep that in mind, that like whenever you're working on anybody's instrument, you know, treat it like your own, except better than your own, because a lot of times guys like you and me, buddy, will sit there and be like, you know what, fuck it, that's a feature now. You know, we're just gonna
Exactly.
It's a feature. It's a feature. Nobody's gonna care.
I've been known to do that on every one of the builds I've done.
Well, you know, you ever had a moment where you have like just like a complete like design, like you're like right, like you just kind of like think for a second. Like for example, let me grab something real quick, okay? I'll be right back.
Well, as we wait for Mike to come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about our sponsor, Blue Cup. Azul Capito. Oh, he's back already, so never mind. We ain't going to do that.
What?
Don't mind us. Just filling time.
Okay, well, this was a quickie. But anyways, so this thing that I built right here, that I still need to finish and put to good use.
She's a beauty.
Yeah, this little thing right here, right, is a piece of Purple Heart that I put right there. Because I got bored, right? And when you get marijuana and power tools in hand, like, things happen. Originally, I was not going to have anything like this right here. And I was actually gonna do something kind of cool where I was going to have squared off edges, right? And then I was like, you know what? This would be kind of cool for when I'm playing, like sitting down, to have a little bit of extra like meat to hold on to while I'm, you know, doing my thing. So then marijuana dictated that I had extra Purple Heart kicking around from offcuts, and watching Ben Crow use his hand planer, I better do something. So I did, and I glued a wing onto it.
Smart.
So have you ever had a moment like that where you just been like, you know what, we're just gonna do something different today? We're gonna get all Bob Ross on that motherfucker.
Yeah, usually it's in the moment of, you know, something catastrophic happens. We made a Dororo inspired guitar. All right, anime, all that stuff. Check out the video if you're interested on Woodstyle Shinobi. But I made one of those. I guess hook.
Yeah.
Guitar headstocks.
Yeah.
You know, one of those newfangled things that everybody are liking these days, where it's like like a hook. Six on one side, hook. But anyways, you know, I had to add some length to the top, so you know, I glued on a wing on top, not thinking. And when I was drilling the actual no, it wasn't when I was drilling. I think it was when I was putting in the tuning machines.
Yeah.
It's split at that at where the wing is.
Yeah.
So it's strong enough. It held, even though everybody on Reddit was a bunch of haters and was doubting me. You know. But it's still holding today, tuned up and everything.
Yeah.
A couple months later. But anyways, it's split. What I ended up doing is I re-glued it in, and I got my Dremel and I cut a spline into the actual headstock, into the side of it, and I filled it with super glue because I wanted it to be you could see inside of it, because it goes with the theme of the actual guitar.
Yeah.
Because this is it's an anime about basically a person with no skin, no eyes, no hearing, no arms, no legs, and he fights demons to get his limbs and all that stuff back.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Great anime. Check it out if anybody wants to see a crazy anime. Not very long. I think it's about 12 episodes or something. I could be wrong, but it's on Amazon Prime or whatever. Dororo.
One could argue that Full Metal Alchemist is a cousin to this.
Yeah.
Trying to get his limbs back, you know.
Yeah.
Poor.
And we've done a Full Metal Alchemist guitar also.
Yeah, and I look back at that one in retrospect, and I'm like, I should make one too.
Yeah,
See,
you should.
it's weird because you guys like inspire me to like build like crazy shit. Because I'm like, yeah, wouldn't it be fun to just like go and make a themed guitar for something that I like? And I'm like,
Yeah.
you guys are doing Full Metal Alchemist? Well, shit, I like that stuff too. I'm gonna do some Full Metal Alchemist up in here too. It'll be great.
Yeah. Hey, you should. I mean, the way we do it is we base them off characters themselves on animes and video games and stuff for the most part. That way, if we want to build another guitar on that anime, we can.
Yeah.
The one we made was a Colonel Mustang bass guitar.
Ooh.
So we blazed the whole body and neck and all that stuff, and came out killer. I recommend whoever wants to check it out, do so. I mean, I really like that build.
Yeah.
Well,
your channel's a treasure trove of wonderful things that I think that the public needs to see.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we try.
That was me going all Geraldo Rivera on you, man.
I like it, man. But I think we're nearing the end of this cast. You got anything else for the fine, funky people out there?
I think I'm gonna end this one on a Elon Musk SNL style monologue.
Oh, thanks for losing me a bunch of money, Elon. But it was funny. Oh, man.
Today is a very special day because we honor those who make. And I'm not talking about the people that make guitars. I'm talking about all the women out there, the mothers who make us. And in turn, when they make us, we make things. And because we make things, we're better off. And because we're better off because we make things, life is good. So happy Mother's Day to all you mothers out there. You're doing God's work. Raise those children any which way that you see fit because they're your children. And be good and kind. And remember that today is your day. And we honor you because of your sacrifices. And we will tell you from the bottom of our hearts that you are appreciated, loved, cherished, and revered. You got anything else to say there, buddy?
I agree with that. Except the ones that aren't. You bitches know who you are.
Oh!
Happy Mother's Day to all the good moms out there.
Oh! There we go. We got our last. We got a controversial piece in this one. Just like we said when we were in the pre-production, man. Fucking, we talked about white supremacy and the elderly. Like, what was the second podcast in? We're doing
something
great,
like
man.
that, yeah.
I know. I hope some blue-haired Twitter robot finds us and complains because that'll just give us views. So, please, by all means, cancel me.
Clickbait, baby. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. Later.
There we go.